Hi guys, and welcome back to the KingDumb podcast. So if you don't know what this podcast is about, I, your host, KingBullet, will talk about anything and everything that I find to be interesting or strange or just something that catches my attention. If wherever you're listening to right now, I'm mostly posting it on YouTube or Spotify. It would greatly help me if you would not only share the podcast but like it or whatever it is that you do on said platforms. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I once again find to be a manner of interest. And we're kind of going back into the content creator sphere in some regards. And that point of interest is the monetization and content creators' capabilities to live off of the um the monetization of things. Uh, so for those of you who do not know, you can get paid for content creation. It is something that a lot of people strive for. They strive to be able to get the monetization possibilities, right? And most of the time, it's in the form of if you're on Twitch, it's bits and subs. If you're on YouTube, it's members and super chats. There's a whole bunch of different ways to get monetized, but I want to talk about specifically now. Obviously, I talked pretty in depth on the monetization methods in my Twitch is in Trouble episode. If you haven't listened to that, I highly encourage you to go check it out because I go over how Twitch is looking rather vulnerable and there's some possibilities that it could go rather bad for them. Um, However, I want to talk a little bit more in detail about how content creators actually manage to live off of content creation or have a sustainable form of income because it is not actually through the subs or members or bits or super chats. Generally, it's through external sources. So, the, if for anybody who knows me knows that I have a couple disabilities. They're not really the most noticeable unless they're really going bad, but I have a couple. Some of them I have like fibromyalgia. I can get very weak and shaky and almost black out with just the smallest amount of effort. And then there's also times where like I can be wild and crazy for hours upon hours and I'm perfectly fine. Dancer, really? You're not dying. Put your mouse down. No, we're not doing this. No, you're not gonna meow like you're dying. No. If you guys heard her meowing, she's carrying around her toy, and my cat Dancer acts like she's dying when nobody's playing with her. If she wants to play and nobody's grabbing her toy and playing with her, she will walk around the entire apartment meowing like she's dying. I will take away your toy. One moment. And the crazy part is, this is her toy. I have to take it away from her because so I don't mind if she's meowing and like wants attention and stuff like that, but she tends to do like this death throw, like she's dying, and I'm trying to break her of that because the last thing that I want to have happen is she's meowing like that and she's actually in distress. There's actually something going wrong, and I think she's just meowing because she's playing and wants someone to play with her. So I'm trying to break her of that kind of meowing. However, getting back on the topic, a nice little side distraction brought to you by my ever annoying cat. Monetization. So, uh, my disabilities. So yeah, I have a lot of disabilities. getting a regular job, even part-time, is terrifying. There have been a couple of instances where I've completely blacked out. More often than not, I'm so weak and so shaky that I can't even walk, let alone like do any kind of thing. And it's not like muscle atrophy or anything like that. Like there are some days where I'm perfectly fine and I'll throw like a 48 pack of the regular size bottles of water up on my shoulder and I'll carry it up like 2 flights of steps, no problem. And then there's days where like I'll just be doing the dishes or something and I'll get super shaky and have to sit down and I'm out for the rest of the day. I can't really do much. So it's really weird, right? So content creation is really my only source of income. I'm working on trying to get some other stuff going so that I can maybe not have to rely as much on content creation. But as of right now, it's my only source of income. So I live technically alone. I'm not like living in my parents' basement or anything. Like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, he's living in his parents' basement." No, I live with my girlfriend. We have our own apartment, and we pay rent, we pay utilities, all the normal adulting stuff, right? And the only way that I'm able to actually contribute is if I get some sort of revenue or income for content creation, right? And so I've looked into this significantly. I have thought about this. I've worked on trying to get any kind of income possible through content creation as much as possible, right? And so that's led me to find different avenues and look at different avenues of stuff. First and foremost, I'm not going to go in depth with them. I'm not going to like be super detailed. I'm going to go over the bits and super chats and subs/members stuff. So if you've never been on Twitch or you've never really looked at the monetary support avenues for Twitch or YouTube, Twitch, you have subscriptions. You can subscribe to a channel. There's 3 different tiers that are preset by the platform. I think it's like $5, $10, and $25 a month. And you get emotes and a special little thing next to your name in their chat. You can use the emotes anywhere. The thing next to your name is only in the channel that you are subscribed to. And you get the streamer gets a 50-50 split. So half of that subscription goes to the streamer and half of it goes to the platform. They recently took away any hopes of a 70-30 split, which a lot of their top partners had for quite a bit of time. Then you have bits, where you can use bits on a channel and it is a 1 bit equals 1 cent kind of transaction. So if someone uses 500 bits on a streamer, that streamer gets $5. However, to buy the bits, you have to pay an extra amount. So you're not spending $1 to get 100 bits. You're essentially spending, I think it's like $1.40 or $1.60 to get 100 bits. So it's still not quite the best avenue. You're still spending a lot more to be able to support your favorite content creator for not as much as you would like, right? And then on YouTube side, you have memberships and you can set the tiers of the memberships. For myself, I have a tier 1, which is $1, tier 2, which is $6, and tier 3 that I think is like $10 or $15. I don't remember. But with the tiers, I can change the amounts as much as I want. You don't get as many perks with it, but I am able to do additional perks. Like for anybody who wants to hear these podcast episodes 2 days early, my tier 2 members on YouTube get the podcast 2 days early. I upload it and make it available for them to watch or listen to. Then, past that, you have Super Chat and Super Thanks, I think is what it's called. And that's relatively the same thing as the bits on Twitch, but everything on YouTube is a 70-30 split. So if you do a $10 subscription to a channel, the streamer sees $7, the platform sees $3. If you do a $10 super chat or super thanks, the streamer sees $7, the platform sees $3. It's a very, very clear cut. you know what you're going to get kind of attitude, and you know that, hey, if I spend this much is going to go to the streamer. Whereas on Twitch, it's very skewed. You never really know. A lot of people don't realize how much they're actually spending in bits because of this very skewed way of doing things. You know, a lot of people will buy bits, and whenever they buy bits, they're like, oh, well, I got a whole bunch of bits. They don't realize they spent maybe 54, 55, $60 on 5,000 bits, and, you know, they're spending a lot more money than the streamer is seeing. Not because they're not paying attention, but because Twitch doesn't really, they don't put a nice white line of, hey, this is how much it is and how much the streamer will see, kind of deal. I don't know. It's very skewed. It's very weird. I don't like the bit system. I never did. However, the platform Twitch has more interaction with their bits. You can make like sound alerts happen. You can have cool, fun little toys happen. It's a great time. YouTube unfortunately does not have that with their super chats or super thanks as of yet. I don't know if they're going to try to make it in the future or if it's just going to stay as it is, but they don't have it currently. Now, with all that being said, what are the other avenues that streamers or content creators get some kind of financial support? Well, for membership style things, a lot of people go to the different platforms like Patreon and Ko-Fi. Patreon, you can choose kind of, as a creator, you can choose kind of like what kind of cut you give to the platform. If you do, I think you can do like a 80-20 cut, and you get certain perks as being a Patreon holder person. And then you can also choose to do a 90-10 or something like that. I was one of the original people on Patreon, and so I actually have one of the only remaining uh, Patreon cuts there is, and it's a 95-5 cut, which is really awesome, I've got to say. But I don't really use Patreon anymore. It's mostly just people subscribe, and then you forget about it. You don't really see anything else from that. It is purely just to give monthly monetary support. And while, yeah, it's pretty decent there, and they've started adding in different things, it's not very user friendly. I've never really liked how the pages looked or anything like that. And then you have Ko-Fi. Ko-Fi is another one like Patreon. However, you can choose to do monthly supports via Ko-Fi, and you can also choose to do a one-time, they call it buy them a coffee, but you can do a one-time donation to the creator, and the UI is much more friendly. It's like a almost like a Twitter atmosphere on the UI itself. And when you go onto a page, you can see a goal that the creator set. You can see the different posts that the creator has done, and it's very, very user friendly in comparison to Patreon. So Ko-Fi, you have a couple different options. You can do the content creator gets 100% of the monetary support, but the content creator can also opt to, I want to say it's like go gold or something like that, where they will actually get, like, I think it's a 90-10 or an 80-20 cut, but they get more customization capabilities for their Ko-Fi page. They can do more, like, for the stock thing, the Ko-Fi says buy this person a coffee. You can change that. You can do different aspects of the Ko-Fi and stuff like that. It's very, very weird. I don't do the gold because I can't afford the gold right now, but I probably would in the future, just because I think it would actually be a worthy thing to do. So both of those avenues, Patreon and Ko-Fi, are already 100% better. Now, most of the time, the money will go to the platform, and then the platform immediately shuffle, or maybe not immediately, but the platform then shuffles it over to the creator's connected PayPal. I don't really know of any other way that people would do it. I think there's a thing called like Striped or something like that that people use. I only use PayPal, but PayPal obviously will take a small cut. They take a percentage because, you're using their platform. That's how PayPal is able to continue being alive. And usually it's not very much. It's like a couple cents or a couple dollars, nothing crazy. Um, and then the creator can then transfer it or use it as they need, right? So it's whenever someone would donate, say, $10 on Ko-Fi to me, when it gets to the PayPal, it'd probably be like $9.70 or something like that after the PayPal people take some of their cut, right? And then say I want to transfer it to my bank account so that I can use it for bills instead of keeping it into PayPal to use for just general spending. I can then transfer it, and by the time the transfer happens, I can opt to do a standard transfer, which takes a little bit longer, and I see that $9.70. I can also opt to do a faster transfer where it's there that day, and I think they take like a dollar or so, or like 3% of the amount from it or something like that. I don't remember. I never do it, but you still get the main portion of the donation, the money that you're supporting them, that creator, with. So that is probably the prime way that if you really really want to support a creator, that's how you should do it, through avenues where they see most of the the income. Like a lot of streamers have donation links set up where you can donate directly to them, and it's usually through something like Stream Elements or Streamlabs or even Ko-Fi. I use Ko-Fi, and a lot of people will do that, and it'll go straight to me, right? And that's a really really good avenue as well, because again, it's the creator will see 98 to 99% of the money that you send there versus maybe 50 or 70. So, with all that being said, what else is there for content creators? Well, as the content creator starts to get a little bit bigger, and as they start to grow and maintain a community, there's different avenues that they can go about. So, this is where the real meat and potatoes of this uh, episode will be. Um, a lot of creators and a lot of people who support creators misunderstand the differences between the sponsorship, partnership, and affiliates for companies. So I'm going to break that down, because these are also ways that content creators will generally do some kind of income, right? So, first and foremost, we're just going to go affiliates with the company. This is when a content creator, if you ever see a ton of people do it, people will be like, hey, use my code or use my link to go buy G Fuel or to go buy gamer stops or whatever it is that they do. There's chair companies, there's desks, there's energy drinks, like a whole bunch of different places. They're like, hey, use my code and or use my link, right? And that's being affiliate. Whenever you, as a supporter of the creator, go to that link and say it's through G Fuel, right? You go through their link and then you order like maybe $25-$30 of G Fuel items. The content creator will usually see about 10% of that. So it's not very much, but it's a foot in the door. It's a step in a direction, and it's still some kind of income, especially if a creator can get on a company that a lot of people use regularly. Like, people use G Fuel all the time and they buy it anyway. So if you're like, hey, I got a code, if you want to use G Fuel, I got this, here you go, and you'll support me a little bit, and people are like, oh great, yeah, sure, I got that, no problem. All right. And like, that's all fine and dandy, but again, it's not very much money. Now, why do people go for it if it's not a lot of money? Well, that kind of paves this way into the possibility of a tighter kind of relationship with that company. I'm trying to choose my words properly because I don't want it to sound like it's not worth it, but I also don't want to oversell it. So whenever you go and you become affiliate with a company, we'll say G Fuel, because that's what a lot of people go through. There's a possibility that you eventually get to a point where you are really good friends with the company, and they're like, hey, you know what? You've been with us for a long time. You've done a lot of good. Look at all these people. We want to make you a partner. That is where you go from affiliate status up to partner status. Now, what is being partnered with a company? The companies will usually have different avenues, different things that they do for their partners, but you still use your affiliate link, you still use this stuff, but that company will recognize you, maybe make your own G Fuel flavor, or they'll promote your streams, and like, so your general audience will grow due to the company pushing your name and your products more. So I think I want to say PewDiePie has one. I think PewDiePie has a G Fuel partnership, and I 98% of the people who are in content creation know PewDiePie in some regard at this point, right? So he has his own shaker cup with his like weird little colors, the red and black. He has his own flavor of G Fuel that I'm assuming he was like, "Hey, I really like these flavors together. Can we do this as my flavor?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And so you've got a PewDiePie shaker, you got a PewDiePie flavor. People are going onto the website, they're seeing PewDiePie. They're like, "Oh, I wonder who PewDiePie is." And then they go look him up, or something along those lines. And then G Fuel, maybe on their socials, will be like, hey, check out PewDiePie. Look, he's got his own flavor. We endorse this person. He's pretty cool. Great, I guess. I don't know. Partnerships to me, they seem very one sided. Um, I shouldn't say all partnerships, but most partnerships to me seem very one sided. And not because I don't think that they're a good thing, but mostly because it's just being an affiliate with like a little extra bells and whistles, and some people might like that, but you're not really seeing an increase in any kind of substantial income between affiliate and partnership with most companies. Now, some companies, there's a major like increase and they will do different perks and stuff like that. But normally with most companies, there's not really much change whenever you make that step forward, right? Now, for the companies that you can be partnered with them, uh, say, like, for example, I was partnered with Bless Unleashed and Bandai Namco Entertainment of America. I wasn't necessarily trying to sell a product, but I was making content for the game Bless Unleashed. And the partnership was a preferred content creator program, and they pushed my channel a ton. So much so that I was able to have my highest ever sub count, my highest ever CCV. I was partner level statistics on Twitch, and it actually is what brought my YouTube to being a partnered YouTube account, brand, whatever you want to call it. And it did a lot of good for me. Like, they pushed it a lot, right? That is a little bit different because if you look at partnership with companies, usually they've already said, oh, well, this person is now partnered with us, and then that's really it. They don't really push it much more past that. But then there are companies that they'll push something or they'll give extra perks that will really like boost that creator up, and because of that boost, that creator is generating more income from other sources with it, right? So there is a variation, there's a difference, but in most cases, affiliate is just a partnership with a fancier name, right? And then we go down to well, not really down, but go up to sponsored by a company. Now, a lot of people love to try to say that they are sponsored by a company. Most people who say they are sponsored by a company are not sponsored. What a sponsorship means is that company is paying you money up front to do something, right? So, or you're getting paid to do something for the company. It's not an external thing. So it's not like, oh, well, your viewers have to go and buy this and then you get money. It's you go live, you make your video, and they pay you for a portion of the video or stream being all about them. They're paying for their own time in your content. And this is becoming more and more common. Like, a lot of people will see the Raid Shadow Legends sponsors. Raid Shadow Legends is one of the biggest sponsors out there right now, right? And what it is a lot of the times I've done it even where the it's usually through a third party platform like Stream Elements, where a lot of people have their alerts and stuff anyway, but the company will be like, okay, listen, we want to generate this goal, we want to try to do this, so we're going to pay you to help us do that. They're essentially paying you to market for them, right? And what it is for mine, it was like get 5 new signups for Raid Shadow Legends. And at 5 signups, I was guaranteed like $100 or something like that. I don't remember the exact amount, but I was guaranteed this amount of money. My community didn't have to buy anything. They didn't have to do anything special, but I was getting money for getting people onto the game, and then they would do different tiers. That's like the lower level of the sponsorships, right? Then you got the higher level where I'm trying to think. For example, the people that you see say they're sponsored by Logitech or I don't know, like Audio Technica or anything like that, right? They will either get money or get free products or like have the ability to give away free products to their community, and they are being given this money or these products to do with as they please. Essentially, they're paying. They would ultimately like to have it be a lot more profitable for them. So, say for example, someone we'll go with Audio Technica, my mic right here, right? Say at one point Audio Technica is like, hey, listen, we really enjoy your content. How would you like to be sponsored? We'll give you 4 Audio Technica mics, well, or 5 Audio Technica mics to give away to your community or to do with as you please, essentially, right? And then I have 5 microphones like this one that I can give away to my community at any time. Or so that's more of a product sponsor, right? That's where a lot of people will have this product sponsorship kind of deal, right? And then there's financial money sponsorship, where people, companies, whatever, will literally pay somebody to put their logo or to have a chunk of the content be all about them. Now you'll see this in a lot of YouTube videos as well. I know I enjoy a good old school RuneScape video here and there, and that's a game that I stream rather frequently currently, but you'll see a lot of these bigger old school RuneScape streamers or YouTubers be like, "Oh, look at this. What's this? It's the ads." And then they'll talk about like Manscaped or I don't know, something weird, something goofy. HelloFresh is another one. And they're usually like getting paid to promote, "Hey, go to this link, go to this. You even get a discount if you go through this and put this at the checkout," and stuff like that. But they're getting paid upfront for that allocation of time into your content. And the money can vary. Hi. You're not gonna sit here. You guys like there's a cat in front of me. If you're just listening to the audio and standing just right in front of me, go to your bed. There you go. This cat drives me insane sometimes. That one was Cindy. The other one was Dancer. Dancer's pouting somewhere now. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, um, the money is usually paid upfront for the time allocation that people will give people. And that's the prime sponsorship. That's what most people want to work towards, is that kind of sponsorship, because it's a, we don't care how much you do for us. Like, we would be grateful if you did more for us, but we support you. You've done a lot for us. We're going to pay you for a little bit of time. That, like, a lot of people strive to get that, and you'll hear people all the time be like, I even say it, I'm like, Reese's, if you want to talk, my DMs are open. Let's talk about how we can do something, like, that's, I mean, a lot of people reach for it, but at the same time, a lot of people will actually get it. I know someone on Twitch, they were like chowing into Taco Bell and they didn't realize they were live. They were working on alerts and stuff like that. So they didn't have their headphones on, they didn't have any kind of audio, and they didn't realize that they were live until like after they were done just really digging into some Taco Bell, right? And so they took it in stride. They took a clip of it and put it on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh, when you don't mean to be live, but you're really going to town on this Taco Bell or whatever it was." And then they tagged Taco Bell, and then wouldn't you know it, like 2 3 weeks later, they were sponsored by Taco Bell, like they were getting money from Taco Bell. So it happens. Usually, you need to be a relatively big content creator for that to happen, though. Like, if you're a streamer, you probably need to have at least a 50 concurrent viewer count average with a couple thousand followers or subs if you're on YouTube. Like, it's usually a pretty significant size that you have to be able to get anything with that. So that's where a lot of the content creators will actually generate most of their revenue, is through opportunities like affiliates and sponsors and stuff like that. Because game developers can also sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends, they sponsor people all the time. Mech Arena is another one, and they're sponsoring people constantly, right? And so it is a thing that, like, you can get sponsored and do more sponsored stuff without ever seeing affiliate or partner status with any company, but usually it'll be less money. Now, the only other way is that I can think of off the top of my head that people will actually, like, I don't know, I guess generate some kind of revenue off of, is through like different merch things. So merchandise. So you're watching your favorite content creator and they're like, "Oh, hey, do you guys remember this thing that happened in this stream and everybody loved it? Well, now you can get it on a shirt." And then they sell shirts or pillows or stickers or whatever. And I have my own merch, but I don't really promote it too much because merch doesn't generate a lot of revenue when you're not at least a medium-sized content creator. If you're not a, a halfway decent-sized content creator, usually it's not going to generate very much, if anything. There's been times where I've had like $50 $60 from merch, but it's not all that great. So with that said, that is the main avenues for income. And so now you might be asking yourself, well, how much do people make off of this? How do people live off of all of this? Well, usually they don't. The average content creator, doesn't matter the platform they're on, it doesn't matter like how known they are in a community, they usually aren't making enough money to live off of, and if they are, it's not a very comfortable life. They're still barely making it day by day, right? And so that's really really bad. Um, in a general stance, I'm trying to think of, like, off the top of my head what the numbers were. A while back, someone had done like a little survey, a thing to kind of figure out just where people were in that regard, and it was like 9 times out of 10 around for YouTube, if you had like 10 to 15,000 subscribers, you were usually just barely making enough to that you were making like minimum wage essentially. And on Twitch, I think it was like upwards of like 20, 30,000 followers before you were making something similar, right? And I'm talking like United States of America minimum wage, federal minimum wage, not state minimum wages. The $7 and whatever cents, 7.50 an hour or whatever. And usually content creators are putting in roughly around 100 hours of work every week. That might seem kind of crazy, but content creation isn't as simple as just going live. I explained this a little bit in the Twitch episode once again, and just to give a rough breakdown, normally people will go live for 4 or 5 hours and stream, and then they're marketing, they're trying to network, they're trying to create some kind of like communal thing where they can talk to people, and those people are like, hey, yeah, and then you're building up your community, and usually that can range anywhere from like 5 to 10 hours a day sometimes, right? And then on top of that, you're always trying to think of how you can take your content to the next level, how you can make your content just that much more. What else can you do to really push your content for a lot of people, right? And so there's this very large, like, gap that people don't see between your average content creator and the content creators who are making enough money to live off of. So much so that most affiliates on Twitch and partners on YouTube do not see a monthly payout. On Twitch, I want to say it's every 2.5 months that someone will get the amount that they need to get a payout, and that's it might have been shortened down to like a month and a half now, maybe like 1 month on, 1 month off, because they did lower the price down to $50 that you needed to be able to get a payout. But on YouTube, you need $100, right? And so usually that's like every 2.5 months that you get that. So usually you're not seeing a payout for a good while. You get a payout, you're like, okay, I'm gonna be waiting to get another payout until probably, like, say you get a payout in May, you probably won't see another payout until like July, maybe August, if you're lucky, right? And as you start growing your channel, you're gonna see that you're gonna be able to get the payouts more and more, which is great and that's awesome. But the problem with that is it's still not going to be a lot, right? And until you start getting into those areas where you're having a higher CCV, the views on your videos are going up, all of this stuff is starting to work in your favor. 9 times out of 10, you're not making a lot of money. And then you throw on the sponsorships. Sponsorships usually don't go monetary until you have a certain size to your channel, right? Nobody wants to sponsor a channel that streams to 2 viewers every single day for 12 hours a day. It's just not going to happen, right? Usually they want, at least for a starting small sponsorship, they usually are like, oh, well, we want like maybe 10 to 15 concurrent viewers for an entire stream. For affiliates and partners, usually they want anywhere from 1 to 2,000 followers slash subscribers before they do any kind of affiliate or partnership with you. So it's still a very large gap from the 0 to like the 1,000 just to be able to get a chance at an affiliate. And now you can obviously make merch at any time, but like I said, merch isn't going to really sell all that well, especially if you only have a relatively small community. And I say small community as in you have maybe 500 or less active community members. And yes, I am saying 500 or less is small because now this is the important part. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 people in a Discord or in your community or, whatever. But if they're not active, they're not really contributing to you, your community, whatever it is, right? They're more just there. Uh, think of it as like you go into we'll do a game thing. You go into a match of Call of Duty, right? And you're in a game and you just have one character standing like in a spawn zone where they can't get killed for whatever reason. They're just standing there, nobody can kill them, but they're not doing anything to help the community or help their team. It's literally just stand still, do nothing. That's essentially what it would be for non-active community members. And so a smaller community is usually 500 active members because not every single one of those members are going to be able to go to your stream or watch your videos on a regular basis. And those people will still be wanting to talk and hang out and stuff like that on their own time, but generally speaking, they're not going to be able to have that same amount of support as some of these hardcore diehard community members are, right? And so with that being said, especially because, oh God, what is it? I want to say it's recently gone up but recently gone up recently. Yeah, good English. Um, it's gone up recently, but I think the average viewer for online content, primarily gaming content, it used to be like ages 16 to 20 or something like that. And now it's like roughly around the 25 mark for their age. So it's gone up. The generation that really started getting into the content creation has really started they developed this kind of like rhythm, and they as they grow older, so does the demographic of the content that's coming out, right? And so now it's a lot more of like they'll usually have a job or they'll usually have something going on, so they can't really like come to streams or anything like that. But they also will be paying for their own bills. They'll be struggling themselves, and so a lot of the times they're not going to be able to support you like they would have been if they were 18, 19 years old at some kind of like fast food restaurant making minimum wage, but they were living rent free with their parents, right? So the more people you have, obviously, the more currency, the more financial stability you have. And a community of less than 500 active people will usually still average like 10 to 15 concurrent viewers and maybe like around 50 to 100 views on videos for each video slash stream. Like it's not going to be very high. Now there's obviously outliers. There's a lot of people who have like a very small 2, 3, 400 community members and they have like 50 to 100 concurrent viewers and have tons of views on videos, whatever. There's outliers, but on average the normal community is usually relatively small, around that 500 active community member mark. So yeah, you might see like some merch sales here and there, you might see some different pop-up things here and there for financial stability, but in the long run it doesn't really equate to very much, right? And I think that's where a lot of people lose focus, lose the sight of what actually is working and like what actually comes about from building a community that's financially stable for the creator. Um, because there's also communities out there where the creator averages, I don't know, we'll say 100 concurrent viewers, and they still have very few subscribers that will allow them to be financially stable. So they're not making a lot of money, but a lot of people come around to their streams. I've been on the receiving end of that. I have no idea how to fix it. I really don't. If you know, let me know. Comment, let me know. Join the Discord. King Bullet, literally everywhere. Look for the crown and bullet. I'm just saying, let me know because I'd love to know because I would like to be able to achieve that. But for the general sense, just because people have a rocking community doesn't mean that that rocking community is going to be successful in any regard. And so the average content creator who isn't like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or PewDiePie or whatever usually isn't making a lot of money. The average financial income for content creators is usually around $3 to $5 an hour. And if you think about that, I don't know the minimum wage for a lot of the other countries or like the conversion between US dollars and their currency, but the minimum wage for a worker in the United States is $7.50 an hour, whatever it is, almost $8 an hour. Most content creators are working more than 40 hours a week, getting $3 to $5 an hour, and they're still not seeing very much change, right? And so even if a content creator will stream like 80 hours one week, we'll say, right? They could have had a regular part-time job, worked 20, 25 hours at that part-time job, and made the same amount that they made streaming that week. So now that comes down to the question, why do people stream to try to make money? Well, it's simple. Any gamer dreams about the day that they can say, oh, hey, I play video games for a living. I do this and I don't really have to worry about finances at all, right? But so few actually achieve that. I am 5.5 years into content creation at this point, and only at 3 parts in my career have I ever been like, hey, I actually have a little bit of money. The first part was back on Mixer. Whenever things were starting to really pop off on Mixer, I was doing great. I struggled here and there, but I was able to pay all my bills. I was able to do all the stuff that I needed to do. Now, keep in mind, I was actually still living on my own. At no point during my content creator career have I ever lived on my or lived with like my parents or something. I had my significant others at the time living with me, but that's about it. But I was living not like comfortably, but I was doing pretty good back whenever I first got partnered on Mixer. I had some merch sales. I had a lot of people becoming subs. They would drop embers. Like there was a lot of good stuff that was coming from it, and then it kind of tapered off after the hype of being a new partner kind of died off, and then it really started to pick up again whenever Mixer brought out their Sparks equals money approach to things, where you could fill up a spark crystal as a viewer, and as that crystal starts to reach higher and higher amounts, the creators paid more and more money. And it wasn't a sustainable thing, but it was something that worked really well to help a lot of content creators on Mixer be able to live off of the income that they were getting. And so that was great. I was able to live quite quite nicely for a little bit of time, and it was great. And then of course that started to die down afterwards, right? And then the last time that I was able to actually live relatively comfortably off of content creation was when I had my partnership with Bless Unleashed. And yes, I say partnership. I was not sponsored by Bless Unleashed. I was partnered. We were give and take, right? And so that was the really, really big thing. And I, like I said before, was at the highest content creator sub amount that I've ever had, right? I was doing the best I had ever had with this game, and it was great. And then, of course, that tapered off. And that's the one thing that a lot of content creators are terrified of, right? So, content creators obviously have a very, very shaky monthly income, right? Because you don't get paid every other week, you get paid once a month, if that sometimes, right? And so it comes down to like there's a lot of times where content creators are like coughing apparently. Content creators are like, well, I want to take a break because my mental health isn't doing too great, and this and that, and I'm terrified of this and that, and all this other stuff going on. And they're like, well, I need to do this, I need to do that. But as soon as they take a break, all of their stuff just falls apart. It's a very, very fickle thing, as they say. Usually, taking a break more than a week from content creation will be a death sentence for a channel for a long period of time. And I'm not even trying to make that seem like dramatic. It is exactly as it sounds. A lot of content creators do not take breaks. They don't take vacations. They don't stop working for at least the first 7, 8 years of content creation if they make it that far. A lot of the times, by the time that comes around, the content creator has already given up. So I've been rambling on about this for quite a bit of time now. I want to maybe try to wrap it up here. Um, Content creation is not a moneymaker. It's not an avenue that I suggest people go if they're looking for money. It is very much a hobby thing. And then you're going to have people like me where, you know, content creation is the only thing that they can reliably do, and they need to make it work and they need to make money off of it. But sometimes it doesn't work out. And even I look for other avenues. Like I'm a video editor, I'm a play tester for games, I'm a voice actor, and so I get paid from other avenues as well, not just from purely my content that I produce. And that's what I feel like a lot of people don't realize is you see the person on stream saying, "Oh yeah, things are great. Wow." And in all reality, they're actually spending a lot of time and a lot of effort into maintaining a part-time or full-time job without it getting in the way of their content creation aspect. So I hope that this was informative and enlightening for people. Um, it's obviously a topic that a lot of people don't think about having, and a lot of people don't think about in general. Um, it is a very tough world out there being a content creator, and it's never fun whenever you are on the lower end of the financial standings. But that's kind of where the whole not everybody's cut out to be a content creator thing comes from, because it is a very mental driven battle, right? Even content creators who are at the top of their game have mental battles because they feel like they stagnate, or they feel like they're not pr- putting out the same quality of content as they once did. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of the KingDumb podcast. Once again, I am King Bullet. Just search up King Bullet anywhere. Look for the guy with the long hair and facial hair, and you probably found me. Crown and Bullet all day, every day. It's trademarked even. I don't know if I ever mentioned that before. But I'm your host, King Bullet. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you want me to revisit this episode again in the future after, maybe a couple years, or maybe a couple ups and downs in finances or anything like that. And, let me know ideas for other topics you would like to see me cover as well. And I will see all of you guys next time. Bye, guys.